All right, so I just did this perfectly, and then I realized that I wasn't recording, and I had great light and all those other things, and now the sun's going down. So let's try to do this one more time. Let's see if I can do it at least as good as I did it last time. I want to talk to you about two things. What is imperialism, and how do these three things lead to imperialism? Let's start with what imperialism is first. Roughly speaking, from 1800 to 1914, very specific end date, and we'll talk about why in just a second. European nations that have been industrialized will engage in industrial colonialism. You remember the age of exploration, 1500s, God, gold, glory, same three basic motives here, but on a much larger scale. We won't say on a grander scale because that implies that it is grand. And it's just really a loaded term, because if you are a nation or a people that have been imperialized, like the people of the Congo are by Belgium, there is nothing grand about this. It's actually pretty terrible. I'm going to kill that dog. All right, but let's keep going. So, imperialism has happened. These nations are spreading around the globe, but how do these three things help that happen? Number one, capitalism. Capitalism is a new liberal model of economics in which personal profit is the most important thing. But you should know this already. If you don't, I just gave you a very simple definition of it. The capitalist class, known basically as the bourgeoisie class, are a class of people that make their money through industry, industrialization. So now that the Industrial Revolution has happened, industrialization will provide more money for the capitalist class, and the capitalist class, using this money and the power that comes along with it in liberal democracies, will increase industrialization. And these two things alone provide all the motivation you really need for imperialism. Because industrialization needs two things. It needs markets to sell things in, and it needs places to exploit, to take natural resources from. Imperialism will provide both of these things. The great thing about industrialization is that you produce way more than you need. But if you're doing it for personal profit and you abide by the laws of supply and demand, the terrible thing about industrialization is you produce way more than you need, and therefore the value of your product will drop and you will go bankrupt unless you can find more places to sell this product. And once you find more places to sell this product, you'll need more raw materials. So you'll need to find places to take the raw materials from. Imperialism spreading around the globe to unindustrialized areas will provide both of these things. But there is one more piece of this puzzle. Nationalism. Nationalism is this inherent ideology in the 1800s that your nation, your people, your ethnic group, your culture, your religion, the thing that makes you and the group of people you associate with a cohesive group is better than everybody else. And nationalism plays a huge part in imperialism, because here's what's going to happen. As nations industrialize, they'll have the ability to build these large, powerful militaries. And with these large, powerful industrial militaries, they will be able to show they are better than all other nations, nationalism, by spreading around the globe using these giant militaries. So, capitalism feeds industrialization. The industrialization feeds capitalism. And then imperialism provides both the markets and the raw materials. But also industrialization and the raw materials from imperialism will allow these giant militaries to exist. And if you're a nationalist nation, which in the case of especially Germany or Belgium or France or Italy, you want to show that you're the best. And the way that you show you're better than other nationalist nations is through imperialism. Notice we stopped at 1914. I chose that date very specifically because that is the beginning of World War I. And both imperialism and nationalism play a huge part in why that war starts. So let's run this one more time, make sure I got everything. Capitalism provides the motive for industrialization, and industrialization provides the capital or wealth for capitalism. As capitalism becomes a dominant economic system, industrialization will become the dominant way to produce goods on a large scale. And as these goods are produced on a large scale, you will both need more raw materials to pull from, and you will need places to sell it. So you will imperialize. And how will you imperialize? Well, through industrialization and nationalism, you have built these large, impressive, quite frankly, terrifying militaries. And you can go into these unindustrialized areas because they will not be able to stand up to the might of things like the Dreadnought battleship or even the steamship that has mounted Maxim machine guns on it. they just will have no recourse against it or ability to stop it. And also through nationalism, you will start to feel this incredible national pride as you take more areas, which will make you want to take more areas. And of course, there's a very dark side to nationalism, which is nationalism inherently you think that your ethnicity is the best. And during the age of imperialism, this will become very scientific with the junk science or pseudoscience of social Darwinism, in which it almost appears that it is approved by evolutionary standards that certain ethnic groups are genetically superior to others. And of course, unfortunately, to end this on a really dark note, that will come to its ultimate head as social Darwinism gives way to eugenics and nationalism gives way to fascism. And, not long after imperialism ends, you'll have World War II, which is infamous, rightly so, for the Holocaust, which is when nationalistic fascist Germans decide that they want to prove they are the best ethnic group. And they will do that using eugenics, which comes from social Darwinism, which comes from this imperial age. I often tell people, my students especially, that once industrialization happens, and this is a really dark note to end on, but once industrialization happens, the world gets a lot darker, because all of a sudden people that want to do terrible things to other people can do it much easier. And I hate to end on such a bummer, but that's where I'm going to stop. So I'll see y'all next time for who knows what subject, whatever y'all want me to talk about, I guess.